You're seriously asking us to cancel our Cabo trip because of back pain? That's the exact sentence my brother screamed at me, on speakerphone, from the airport check-in line, while I was lying flat on a gurney, prepped for emergency spinal surgery. I hadn't slept in 36 hours. My 5-year-old daughter, Mia, was curled up on a vinyl chair next to me, using my hoodie as a blanket. Her cheeks were stained with the remnants of peanut butter crackers and tears. I'd been holding it together for her, until that moment. My name is Caleb Morgan. I'm 35, a widowed father, and I was about to go under the knife for a ruptured disc that could have paralyzed me. My wife died of ovarian cancer just over a year ago, and since then, I've been doing this parenting thing solo. No nanny, no family help, just grit and coffee. Well, not entirely solo. My older brother Matt and his wife Brooke have been in the picture, as much as people who depend on your money can be. See, when Matt's latest startup imploded, I stepped up. I started sending them $1,800 a month to help cover the mortgage on their Palm Springs vacation home. Yeah, the same one I've never even seen in person. I did it because, after Rachel died, I wanted to believe in family. I wanted Mia to grow up surrounded by people who loved her, even if that love felt one-sided. But when I called Matt from the ER, begging for just 2 days of help watching Mia during my surgery and recovery, I was met with nothing but mockery. "Don't be dramatic, man," he scoffed. "Brooke and I have had this trip planned for months. You think the world revolves around you just because you're a single dad now?" I didn't respond right away. I couldn't. The nurse was checking my vitals, and I was too busy holding back a wave of nausea that was part pain, part heartbreak. I tried one last time. I told him the doctors had found spinal compression, that I couldn't walk without collapsing, that the risk of nerve damage was very real. He laughed. "Well, maybe don't lift your kid so much, that's on you." And then, he hung up. My hands were trembling when I put the phone down, not from fear of the surgery, but from the sinking realization that I'd been pouring my energy, time, and money into people who wouldn't even lift a finger when I was at my lowest. That $1,800 I'd been sending them monthly? It wasn't from some bottomless well. I'm a remote software engineer. I budget carefully, I cut corners, I cook most meals at home. All so I could cover that payment without dipping into the fund I'd been slowly rebuilding after Rachel's treatments drained us. I looked at Mia, fast asleep now, still clutching her stuffed fox. The nurse gently touched my shoulder. "Do you have anyone who can come for her?" she asked softly. I swallowed hard. "No," I said. "Not anymore." The hospital had a social worker on call. We arranged for Mia to stay temporarily with Mrs. Ellis, our next-door neighbor, an angel of a woman who used to bring soup to our door when Rachel was in hospice. As they wheeled me into the operating room, one thought burned in my mind like a live wire. They're not family, they're a liability. The surgery took 4 hours. When I woke up, I was groggy, disoriented, and staring at a blinking light on my phone. 11 missed calls. All from Matt. The voicemail. "Hey bro, we just found out the loan's under your name too. The bank sent a weird notice. Call me ACP, okay?" Wait. What loan? I hadn't even healed my spine yet, and somehow, I just discovered they might have roped me into something far worse than emotional betrayal. I was barely out of anesthesia when I played Matt's voicemail again, my hands trembling around the phone. "Just found out the loan's under your name too." What the hell was he talking about? Still hooked to an IV, barely able to shift in bed without gritting my teeth in pain, I opened my email and found it. A notice from the bank. A delinquency alert tied to a second mortgage loan. I scanned the document once, then twice, and my blood turned to ice. It was real. 3 years ago, I'd co-signed on a loan for Matt's business expansion, or so he told me. I was hesitant, but he begged. Said it was a short-term bridge loan, secured against a property he and Brooke owned outright. "I just need your name to meet the requirements," he'd said. "You won't owe a dime." I was grieving Rachel's diagnosis back then, trying to keep everything afloat. I didn't ask enough questions. I trusted him. And now? Now that loan had ballooned into a nightmare. Not only was I a co-signer, I was technically primary borrower on paper because Matt's credit had been garbage for years. The house in Palm Springs? It was collateral. The same house I'd never set foot in. The one I'd been helping pay for every damn month. According to the documents, they'd been skipping payments for 4 months and hadn't said a word. Now the bank was knocking at my door. I wanted to scream. But my daughter was asleep in the chair again, this time holding a drawing she made while waiting for me to wake up. A picture of us holding hands under a bright yellow sun. I couldn't lose it. Not yet. 2 days later, once I was discharged, I was still weak and sore, relying on a walker to shuffle across my apartment. But I had enough strength to open my laptop and dig. What I found made me sick. Matt and Brooke had not only leveraged my name to get the mortgage, they'd also used my financials to apply for a line of credit they maxed out within 6 months. Vacations, luxury purchases, even a $9,000 home theater system. They were drowning in debt and using my identity as the flotation device. That evening, I confronted Matt via FaceTime. He answered from what looked like a poolside bar. Music playing, cocktail in hand. "You got the notice?" he said, completely unbothered. "What the hell did you do?" I asked, trying to stay calm for Mia's sake. He shrugged. "Look, I was going to talk to you about it, but we've been in a rough patch. You know how it is." "You lied to me," I said. "You forged my income. My name is on everything." "Relax," he scoffed. "You make good money. The bank just needs a payment to chill out." That's when he said it. The line that flipped a switch in me. "You're not going to screw us over, right? I mean, after everything we've done for you? Everything they'd done for me?" I ended the call without another word. And then I opened a new tab and started typing. Fraud attorney near me. The next morning, a FedEx envelope arrived at my door. It was from the bank. Inside, foreclosure proceedings. The house was officially at risk, and as far as the bank was concerned, it was my problem. I've never felt rage like that before. Sitting across from my fraud attorney, Mr. Langford, a sharp, no-nonsense guy in his late 50s, I kept gripping the armrest so tightly I thought I'd rip it off the chair. He had just finished reviewing the documents I'd sent him. The fake applications, the signatures, the spending history. "They didn't just commit fraud," he said calmly. "They built a paper trail, making it look like you were the one opening and managing the debt." My stomach dropped. "They used your tax returns, your pay stubs, everything they had access to. The scary part is, this isn't just misrepresentation. It's identity theft, Caleb." I wanted to throw something, yell. But I didn't. Instead, I nodded. "Okay, what do I do?" He leaned back. "You've got options, but if you're serious about this, it's going to get ugly. Family court ugly, civil suit ugly, maybe even criminal ugly." "I've been through ugly," I told him. "I lost my wife. This question mark, this is fire I'm ready to walk through." And I meant it. That night, I started pulling receipts, screenshots, emails, bank statements, anything I could find. It felt like I was building a case against strangers, not my own brother and sister-in-law. But the betrayal ran deep. One of the emails from Brooke still haunts me. It was from 2 years ago. She had accidentally forwarded it to me instead of Matt. In it, she wrote, "Don't worry. Caleb's too soft to ever push back. We're basically his charity project at this point." They knew. They counted on my silence. And for a while, they were right. But not anymore. A week later, Langford and I filed an identity theft report with the FTC, submitted affidavits to the credit bureaus, and began building a formal fraud complaint. I knew Matt would hear about it eventually, but I didn't expect him to show up at my apartment. Uninvited. At 9:15 at night. I opened the door a crack, Walker still in reach, Mia asleep in the bedroom behind me. He looked awful, sunburned, sweating, angry. "You think this is funny?" he hissed. "You're trying to ruin me. Brooke's crying nonstop. The house is about to be gone." I kept my voice low. "You ruined yourself, Matt." He tried to push the door open further, but I held firm. You want to talk? Get a lawyer. His eyes narrowed. You know Mom and Dad think you're being dramatic, right? They said you always had a victim complex. I smiled. Good. They can be named in the witness list too. Remember that joint tax filing you all did in 2021? Guess who co-signed on that loan application? He froze. Oh yeah. I wasn't just coming for Matt and Brooke anymore. Turns out, this family financial plan had been a group effort, with my parents helping Matt fill out documents by using my SSN when I was out of town for a client conference. The entire time I was caring for Rachel during her last weeks, they were using my identity behind my back. That's when I realized something. This wasn't just betrayal. This was theft. Calculated, callous, and layered with lies so deep it would take months to untangle. But now I had names, documents, and a fire in my chest I'd never felt before. Then came the twist I never saw coming. As I was walking Matt out, my phone buzzed with an alert from my bank. A new loan had just been requested under my name. Seconds ago. I checked the details. It was for $60,000. And the cosigner? My father. They were still trying, still using me, even now. If you've ever been robbed of your voice like this, hit 2 in the comments. I know I'm not the only one. I was done playing defense. After that last bank alert, another loan application, filed while I was standing in my own living room, something inside me cracked. Not broke. Cracked. Like a sealed vault finally snapping open. They'd weaponized my kindness, my grief, my silence. Now I was going to weaponize the one thing they never expected. Paperwork. With Mr. Langford's help, I filed a formal fraud complaint not just against Matt and Brooke, but also against my own parents. Turns out, co-signing that 2021 tax document gave them just enough access to impersonate me when Matt and Brooke needed another credit boost. I always knew my family saw me as the responsible one. I just didn't realize they saw me as the resource. The next step, a full freeze on my credit. Then came the restraining orders. Yes, plural. I told Langford I wanted everything airtight before the lawsuits began. He told me he'd never had a client so calmly furious. I told him, I'm a widowed father with spinal screws in my back. You have no idea what I've survived. We started with the Palm Springs house. Because guess what? While the mortgage was defaulting, Matt and Brooke were trying to sell the house quietly to a private buyer to get cash before the bank foreclosed. But they couldn't complete the sale without my signature, so they forged one. Again. I sent the forged contract straight to the DA's office. They opened an investigation within 3 days. Now, Matt wasn't just dealing with foreclosure. He was dealing with felony fraud. Meanwhile, I quietly sent a letter to the buyer, explaining the situation and including legal documentation that proved the transaction was invalid. The sale fell through. The house was seized by the bank the following week. The cherry on top? Because the loan was tied to my name as primary borrower, I had the right to submit a hardship claim and attach a fraud affidavit, which meant the foreclosure hit their credit, not mine. Brooke's screaming voicemail when she found out? Let's just say I kept it. For evidence and motivation. But I wasn't done. Because here's the thing, my parents still hadn't stopped trying to spin the narrative. They were texting relatives, saying I was having a mental health breakdown and lashing out by destroying Matt's life out of jealousy. Jealousy? Of a man who hadn't held a job in 6 years? So I did what any rational person would do. I booked a 20-minute slot at our annual extended family Zoom call. Normally, it's just a bunch of cousins talking over wine. But this year, I had a presentation, screenshots, loan documents, audio clips of Brooke admitting they needed to keep Caleb happy so he keeps the money coming. And finally, copies of the forged signatures. I didn't yell, I didn't cry, I simply told the truth. Let the paper speak. My Aunt Melissa started crying halfway through. My cousin Jared left the call early, clearly shaken. My parents? They tried to interrupt halfway through the slides, claiming, this is a family matter, not a courtroom. To which I calmly replied, it became a courtroom when you started signing my name on documents I never saw. And then, Just as I was about to log off, I got a new email alert. I opened it live on the Zoom call. It was from Langford. Subject line: State AG has officially accepted the case. Indictments pending. Matthew, Brooke, and yes, my father. All three were now part of a criminal investigation. If you've ever been told to keep the peace while your life was being dismantled, you understand why I finally chose war. The morning of the arraignment, I sat in the courtroom, wearing the only suit I owned, same one I wore at Rachel's funeral. I'd had it tailored since then. I was thinner now, not physically, but emotionally, like the weight of keeping everything together for everyone else had finally been stripped away. Matt, Brooke, and my father were seated at the defense table. My mother wasn't charged, but she sat behind them, arms crossed, jaw clenched. She didn't look at me once. The DA read the charges aloud. 2 counts of identity theft, 3 counts of loan fraud, forgery, wire fraud, attempted fraudulent sale of property. Each count echoed like a bell, tolling justice through the chamber. Brooke looked pale. My father still carried that arrogant set to his jaw, but I could see it faltering around the edges. Matt just looked broken. Not sorry, just defeated. They tried to cut a plea deal. Of course they did. But the DA wasn't interested in mercy. You used your brother's name like a credit card, she said. Now you'll pay the interest. The judge agreed. Brooke got 9 months in county jail and 2 years of probation. Matt, because he was the mastermind behind the forged sale and multiple fraudulent applications, got 18 months in state prison. And my father? He got 12 months, suspended sentence, but only after he stood up in open court and admitted, under oath, that he willingly participated in forging my name on a $60,000 line of credit. It was the first time I ever saw him cry. Not when Rachel died, not when Mia was born, but when the judge said, "You prioritized comfort over character, sir. You failed your son." His shoulders collapsed. Outside the courtroom, I expected backlash. I expected someone to run after me, yelling, but no one did. Instead, my cousin Jared approached me. He hugged me, hard. "I'm proud of you, man," he said. "Took guts." It wasn't the kind of victory that comes with balloons and applause. It was quiet, heavy, but it was mine. 3 months later, I finalized the purchase on a small home 2 miles from the ocean. Nothing fancy, but it had a little garden where Mia and I planted sunflowers last week. My side business, designing memorial websites, has taken off. More than I expected. I think people can sense when something comes from lived experience. Olivia, our old neighbor, still helps with childcare. She's practically family now. And Mia, she's thriving. She giggles in her sleep. She draws rainbows again. Matt wrote me a letter from prison, apologizing, blaming stress, blaming addiction, blaming everyone but himself. I didn't reply. My father tried to call me after his sentencing. I blocked the number. And my mother? She mailed me a birthday card for Mia last week. Inside was a $20 bill and a note. "We all make mistakes." I shredded it. Forgiveness doesn't come in the mail. It comes through action, and I haven't seen any. People say family is everything, but I've learned something much harder and much more powerful. Sometimes protecting your peace means burning the bridge and planting a garden with the ashes. If you've ever had to choose peace over people you loved, hit 2 in the comments. And if you want more stories like this one, subscribe. Because I've got more, and trust me, they only get wilder from here.